CAA football fans, what's going on? Griffin Della Penna here, and we are less than a week away from Media Day. But before we do that, we're going to talk to the new head coaches across the conference. And today we have new North Carolina A&T head coach Shawn Gibbs. Coach, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be
Yes.
here.
I know it's been probably a crazy last few months for you. How has this time been in your return to Aggieland?
Oh, it's been fun. Everything that I thought it would be. I'm just happy to be back home in North Carolina.
And that was something that you mentioned when you were announced in your press conference as the 23rd head coach in program history. I have the quote right here. You said it was a dream come true. Your family, you guys were so excited to return to Greensboro in this special community. So, how did this all come to fruition for you to return to Greensboro?
Well, it was a long process, but nothing worthwhile happens quickly. So I started my coaching career here in 2002 under Coach Bill Hayes, legendary coach in the state of North Carolina. Um, and after his first year, they parted ways with Coach Hayes. So, after my first year, I had to find something else to do. And thankfully, Coach Broadway got hired at North Carolina Central, and our offensive coordinator, Linwood Ferguson, at the time ended up becoming the OC at North Carolina Central. So I'm an alum of North Carolina Central, and Coach Ferguson knew that, and he got me in touch with Coach Broadway. And from that point, I was with Coach Broadway through 4 years at North Carolina Central, and then we went to Grambling State University for 4 years, and then came back to North Carolina A&T in 2011. And I was here for 10 years with Coach Broadway. And then fortunate enough, after Coach Broadway retired, Coach Washington became the head coach, who was our defensive coordinator at Grambling and A&T, and stayed on with him. And then I was fortunate enough to get a head coaching opportunity in 2021 at Fort Valley State, and stayed there for 3 years. And then this job came open, and I got a call and happily accepted.
Yeah, I love how you just kind of mentioned your whole sequence up to this event. Your most recent stop, you said in the D2 ranks at Fort Valley State, had a lot of success there in your first time as a head coach, back-to-back 8-win seasons for the first time in the program in over 24 years. So you had a lot of success in that time. But what was so appealing about this job to return back home, like you said, to the D1 ranks and a place that you knew so well?
Well, I just know the potential that North Carolina A&T has. We had a lot of success here in the past. Of course, it's a new challenge, being in a different conference, a conference that we're not real familiar with. So the challenge is what drew me to North Carolina A&T, because I know what we can be, and once we get this thing going, I think we're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the conference.
And you said that there was so much success for the program when you were there in the MEAC at the time, and you were a position coach. You were with the running backs, and even at your time at your alma mater at NC Central as well as Grambling State, you were a position coach. What adjustments did you have to make in your most recent stop at Fort Valley State that was a little bit different in comparison to your previous roles?
Well, I'll say this first. I don't think that there's anything that you can do, whether it be a coordinator or position coach, that's going to quite get you prepared for being a head coach. It's a totally different dynamic. So, now you go from being in charge of 10 guys, and, I was a special teams coordinator and recruiting coordinator. So, you had to coordinate all that, but you go from being in charge of a specific portion of the team to being in charge of everything. And you got to oversee everything in the program, from equipment, compliance, the training staff, everything. So it's a lot more responsibility, and it's something that I cherish, and that I want to do my best to become the best I can at.
So you returned to Greensboro, and when you were here, it was also referred to as a program as Running Back U. You won 5 conference titles at the time, and one of the most beloved and honestly one of the best players in your program's history, Tariq Cohen, was there at the time. He then goes on and gets drafted to the Chicago Bears and becomes an NFL All-Pro. What has the relationship been like with maybe Tariq or other alumni since you got the job?
Well, I mean, phenomenal. I was welcomed with open arms from not only Tariq, who was, really pushing for me to get the head job, but a lot of former players, guys that I coached, guys that I played against, and just some relationships that I had developed throughout my tenure at North Carolina A&T. So the alums have been great. Now we're just going to work so that we can make them proud.
The HBCU culture and tradition runs deep down there in North Carolina. When you talk to maybe some alums or fans, what are some of those conversations like as you start this new chapter?
Well, just letting them know that, no matter what conference we're in, we'll always be an HBCU. The H stands for historically, so we're always going to be an HBCU. And now we have a different challenge. Now we're in the CAA, and we're trying to do something that really hasn't been done in the modern era, and that's be a team that's nationally relevant in FCS football. And it's going to take a lot of hard work from our players, from our coaching staff, from our alumni, and from our fans. But if we come together, I think we can make it happen.
And the players that you brought in, how was that dynamic when you try to overhaul this roster in this new crazy time in college athletics to get them on board and also want to be a part of that change and rebuild of A&T?
Well, thankfully there were some guys that were already here that were on the team when I was previously here, and so they understood a little bit about the culture that we were trying to build. Then I was fortunate enough to bring some guys from Fort Valley with me that understand the expectations and the culture that we're trying to build. So it's been a smooth transition. I think the guys have really bought in. Of course, they're ready to get back to our winning ways, and they're working extremely hard to get there.
What can fans across the CAA and also down there in Greensboro expect from this year's team?
Well, we're going to be a physical team. We're going to be a disciplined team, and we're going to play with relentless effort. And if we can do those things, then results take care of themselves. We're not really a result oriented program. We're kind of a process driven program. So we're all about doing the little things to make the big things happen.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to put it, Coach Gibbs. Thank you for taking the time today. I hope that your guys can continue to stay healthy here throughout the rest of camp, and then we'll see the Aggies on the gridiron week 1 against Tennessee State University on August 30th out in Nashville. Thanks for taking the time, Coach.
Thank you for having me, and God bless.